Hi everyone, it's Gail Scott here again, and I have a message today from one of my collectives known as the Love Matriarch. And the Love Matriarch is a group of energetic energies, I guess I would call them, that are not of this galaxy. They haven't given me very much information about themselves except that they bring forward messages of the divine feminine. And I'll give you a little bit more about what they've told me about themselves a little further on in this video. So they specialize in helping humanity around our relationships. And this is very close to home for me as a relationship coach. I have been for the last decade. So they're talking about the kinds of relationships that we have been in and the kinds of relationships that we're going to be moving forward into as this world evolves. And so we recognize that we exist within relationship for ourselves. And that has come really front and center in the last decade around self-love. But also we exist within relationships with others. And we also exist within the relationship of Gaia, our planet. Now, they're telling me that we are a bit of a complicated species as humanity. And that is because being on planet Earth is not an easy thing to do. In fact, it takes a lot of courage for a soul to incarnate into a human being and to come down to Earth. And I've had it explained to me as this is a boot camp because of the emotions that we have to experience as a species and the way that we live together as a collective. But this is what we do. We come down to earth and we breed and we procreate and we live our lives on a linear timeline. At least that's what we have been doing for thousands and thousands of years. And the reason why it's so tough is because we are very much sentient beings. We're controlled by our emotional state. And that can be quite difficult when you're living in relationship with others. And for those of you who are single out there, you might think that you really want to be in a relationship with someone, but some of the hardest work that you will do in terms of personal growth happens when you're in relationship with someone else. You can think that you're doing fine when you're single, but then when you get involved with someone else, it totally changes. And so, but we're not an island. No man is an island. We are not solitary beings. We exist and enjoy the company of others. And so that is the experience that we have here. But often that can create a lot of disharmony because of the emotional states that we go through. So this has been prevalent in our society from the very beginning. And we as a society have created practices and ways of being that have assisted us to develop into this kind of collective way of life that we have. And the way that we do that is that we follow in the footsteps of the individuals who bring us up and teach us how to be within relationships. And you will know that based on your family experience. And so you will see how your grandparents and your parents have lived together. And then generally what happens is that that pattern is repeated into the next generation. And so this is actually a very rudimentary way of living. It's a very low vibrational level of being for the majority of us because we are not vibrating at a very high level, which would be a level of loving acceptance and non-judgment and peace. And so what happens is that when we copy and learn and duplicate the kinds of patterns that we grow up with that has happened for many, many thousands of years, we end up not being happy. There's a lot of disharmony, there's a lack of trust, and we kind of flip-flop between these emotional states that make it very difficult for us to live in a place where we are actually genuinely feeling fulfilled. But that is actually going to be changing on our planet because we are moving into what's called the new dimension, the new earth, fifth dimension. And so they're telling me that this new energetic shift is an incarnation all of its own. We are being born into and set up into this complete opposite way of being from what we've experienced so far. And so instead of coming from that place of fear and distrust and imbalance, we're actually going to be moving into an energetic sphere that will be more geared towards us living in companionship with one another, coming from love, acceptance, joy, peace. And it's not that it's going to be dull, because you could imagine, oh, well, no drama, but it's not a fantasy either. This is not something that is unrealistic. It's going to be a sense of self-centeredness, but centeredness that comes from the heart. And so that vibration means that your relationships with yourself and with other people, they're actually going to change completely, because when you are operating from the energy of the heart, which is a huge, strong magnetic pulse that actually comes outside of your body and impacts those around you, you will be able to experience more joy and more peace and more hope and more love and more acceptance. And it will also give you the ability to really know one another at a far more intimate level than we've ever had before on the planet. Now, it might seem like, world peace, is that possible? Is it pie in the sky? Is it nirvana? Well, yes, it kind of is. And because we've never experienced it before, we really don't know what it's going to look like. But I will share with you in a minute experiences that you have had where you will be able to tap into what this is like. So the fifth dimension is going to allow you to let go of some of the ways of being that you've experienced in the past. Some of these lower vibrational energies, things like jealousy and resentment and hatred and anger and doubt, because these negative lower vibrational energies are actually not going to be able to stay on the planet when we upgrade. And there's nothing specific that you have to do to learn how to be in this place. You don't have to go to school or study or learn anything, because it's a light photon experience, a chemical alchemization, you could say, and a transformational experience for us. But as with all transformation, there are often hiccups in the journey, because we really are going to be shifting into a new reality. And some of you may not want to do that. For some of you, your soul's journey is to remain within that third dimensional level. And for those of you, you're probably not even listening to this transmission because it just doesn't vibe with you, so to speak. But for those of you who are, welcome to this new energy, and recognize that one of the things that you'll become aware of is a letting go. An unlearning, they're telling me, rather than a learning, because you don't have to learn how to be in this state of love. It's something that as children and newborns, we already have it. We come onto the planet already existing in this state. And it's the society ways that shift and morph and pattern our brains so that we begin to behave differently coming from those different lower level emotions. And so in order for you to integrate these energies and recognize that it's going to happen naturally, you're going to have to let go of some of your old ways of being. You're going to have to, almost in a sense, embrace the energy of love. Now, the energy of love is not that heart-thumping, chemical-driven, oxytocin kind of mad experience that we get when we fall in love with someone. It's not a new falling in love, although you will be falling in love with yourself. But it's more that deep, content knowing of love that you have within yourself when you are experiencing a really special moment in life. For example, when all's right with the world, and when you feel satisfied and really fulfilled, and you have moments of joy, and then in those moments of joy, you're inspired into a creative place, for example, to make music, to create art, to be out in nature and see the wonders of the world. And that's that kind of energy, that inspired action that comes from the love energy, is going to be supplying you more and more as we move forward. And so the only thing that you really need to do is to learn how to let go, how to surrender those negative emotions that you experience on a very continual basis, because they're not helpful for you. So understanding that fear is not a useful emotion unless it's a rational fear. Obviously you don't want to fall down a set of stairs, so you take precautions to make sure that you don't do that. And follow your intuition in terms of making sure that you stay safe. But negative emotions that mean we hold on to things, and that we as a human species, we do tend to hold on to things. We hold on to resentments and grudges, and we blame people for things that have happened in our lives. And what they're saying is, just let that go. Let those things go. Recognize that emotion as you're experiencing it, and then understand that there's no benefit to you to hold on to that. It's that familiar saying that resentment is actually drinking the poison and expecting the other person that you're resentful at to die. It doesn't work that way. So as you let go of these memories and emotions and experiences, it can be quite tricky because of our tendency to hold on to them. So I want you to think about yourself as a chicken inside the shell of an egg. And as we are breaking through into this new paradigm of love, it's very similar to the experience as the chicken kind of cracks open that shell and shifts into a whole new paradigm of being free. And this is really what this emotional change is going to be for us within our relationships, where we're going to be free. We're going to be out of that old paradigm and shifting into this new consciousness level. And so we're going to now be in interrelationships with each other, less independence, and certainly a much lower level of codependence, and really moving into interdependence with other people. And it's a path. This is a path that we're on to get to this level of love where we are going to begin to exist with one another in a new way. And think about yourself as a human being in the state of love, not being in love with someone else, but being in a state of love, not the way that you think where it's volatile and that in love experience, but more just being love. So you're now calm and you're content and you're loving and you know yourself and you accept others. And so this energetic shift, this cracking open of the egg, so to speak, is how we move out of the third dimension and into the fourth dimension. And then when you have those moments where you're inspired from a place of love to take action, that is the fifth dimension, to be in that loving, accepting place. And they're telling me that we have so much support here as a human species from the galactic realms, and also at a cosmic level, because this is a big shift that is happening within our galaxy, not just for us as a species, but also for our planet Earth. And who is this energy that are bringing these messages? They call themselves the love matriarch, and that is because they are an expression of the divine feminine. They do not come from this particular galaxy that we exist in. And so they cannot explain their dimensional experience to us. We cannot understand that because we do not have the capability and the languaging yet to grasp what it means to understand who they are. And that's not just you, that's me too. I don't get it either, but I can feel their energy as it comes through me and brings these messages. And these messages are messages of hope. And you may say, oh, nirvana, how could that possibly be? It all sounds like rainbows and unicorns. But when you're in that state of love where you're taking action from an inspired place and everything is right with the world and you're feeling in awe and wonder of the beauty that surrounds you, that is what they're telling me is coming through. And it's inevitable. It is coming in a way that we cannot even begin to imagine yet. And so you have to stay the course. with every breakthrough, we're expanding into a better version of ourselves. And so each person breaks through in a different way at a different time in their own timeline and in their own way. And so don't be upset if the person that you're with doesn't get it yet, or some of the people that you meet are not thinking the way you're thinking or listening to the things that you're listening to. Just be non-judgmental about them and accept that they are where they're at and you're where you're at. And understand that often the darkest moment really is before dawn, and that this is where we're at right now. And once this photon light has really encapsulated our planet, it's going to have a ricochet effect on us as human beings. And our boot camp here on Earth is going to upgrade. And if you are open and ready for this experience, then you will be one of the ones that's able to continue in this dimension, in that place, and have some patience for the fact that Mother Earth is also going through her own process into this predestined, love-filled evolution for our race and for our planet. And so there are many energies here to support us as we're going through this. And so this is just one of the messages that I've brought through. Please look at my YouTube channel. You will see there are many other messages from different collectives covering different topics, but the train of thought is almost always along the same lines. My name is Gail Scott. I am a galactic channeler, and I am very thrilled and honored to be able to be the one bringing these messages to you. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I look forward to bringing you some more uplifting messages. Thank you.